Tensions in the West Philippine Sea have escalated to a critical point, prompting a dire warning from the head of the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, U.S. Navy Admiral John C. Aquilino. After nearly 3 years of witnessing China's growing military might firsthand, Aquilino has sounded the alarm bells of Beijing's increasingly aggressive behavior and expansionist ambitions in the disputed waters. With China's threats and actions growing bolder by the day, the risk of a potentially catastrophic conflict between the U.S. and China looms larger than ever before. But what exactly is China doing in the West Philippine Sea? And how does the U.S. plan to handle the present situation? Rising tensions. According to Admiral Aquilino, China's actions in the West Philippine Sea are undoubtedly destabilizing the region and jeopardizing the safety of Philippine Coast Guard personnel, sailors, and fishermen operating within their nation's exclusive economic zone. Recently, an incident occurred where a Chinese Coast Guard vessel unleashed water cannons at a Philippine vessel near the Scarborough Shoal, an area claimed by both countries. The incident has raised grave concerns because it is an act of hostility against a sovereign nation. Aquilino warns that if such incidents escalate and result in loss of life, it could trigger a severe crisis that could potentially draw the United States into the fray. If one of these incidents becomes deadly, then that becomes a very serious challenge for the United States. Again, through the policy level, he cautioned. The root of the problem lies in China's claims over nearly the entire South China Sea, dismissing rival claims from other countries, including the Philippines, and defying an international ruling that explicitly refuted the legal basis for Beijing's assertions. The Scarborough Shoal, a triangular chain of reefs and rocks, lies well within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. Yet, China has effectively seized control of the area, deploying its Coast Guard and other vessels to harass Philippine ships and prevent Filipino fishermen from accessing the resource-rich lagoon. Aquilino's warning comes against the backdrop of Beijing's relentless military buildup, modernization efforts, and increasingly coercive gray zone operations, all of which point to President Xi Jinping's directive for China to be ready to invade Taiwan by 2027. The situation in the South China Sea is just one facet of China's broader quest for regional dominance, with its bullying tactics extending from India to Malaysia and Vietnam. How the Philippines is responding to China's attacks. China has indeed grown in military might over the past few years. However, the Filipino government refuses to be bullied. The nation has taken a firm stance against China's aggressive actions in the West Philippine Sea, lodging numerous diplomatic protests and summoning Chinese officials to address the escalating tensions. Most recently, on Thursday, May 2nd, Manila summoned Zhou Jiang, the second highest official at the Chinese embassy, to protest the recent water cannon incident that damaged 2 Philippine vessels during a patrol near the disputed Scarborough Shoal on April 30th. The Philippine Coast Guard vessel and another government boat sustained significant damage when Chinese maritime forces unleashed powerful water cannons, bending and tearing metal sections and equipment, even hitting the Philippine flag. The Philippine Department of Defense condemned the harassment, ramming, swarming, shadowing, and blocking, dangerous maneuvers, use of water cannons, and other aggressive actions by Chinese Coast Guard and maritime militia vessels. This latest incident marked the 20th diplomatic protest lodged by Manila this year alone, and the 153rd since President Ferdinand Marcos took office in mid-2022, highlighting the frequency and severity of confrontations between the two nations in the contested waters. The Philippines has emphasized that the pressure exerted by the Chinese water cannons was significantly more powerful than anything previously encountered, indicating a concerning escalation in tactics. Manila has demanded that the Chinese vessels immediately leave the Scarborough Shoal and its vicinity, asserting its rightful claim over the sea. Despite these protests, China has shown no signs of backing down, with its foreign ministry spokesman, Wang Wenbin, using a warning to the Philippines to not provoke or stir up trouble after referring to the Scarborough Shoal by its Chinese name, Wangyong Island. The Philippines' response has been strengthened by its long-standing mutual defense treaty with the United States, which has raised speculation about what would trigger American intervention. President Marcos revealed last month that U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin had provided assurance that the treaty would be invoked if a Filipino soldier were killed by another foreign power, underscoring the potential for escalation. As China's assertiveness in the region continues unabated, the Philippines finds itself at the forefront of a complex geopolitical conflict, forced to navigate the delicate balance between defending its territorial claims and avoiding an all-out confrontation with a formidable adversary like China. The support of allies like the United States remains crucial, but the path forward is filled with risks and uncertainties for the nation. Why is China claiming the West Philippine Sea? China's claim over the vast swaths of the West Philippine Sea, also known as the South China Sea, are rooted in a complex tapestry of historical narratives, geopolitical ambitions, and resource interest. At the center of Beijing's assertions lies its controversial 9-dash line, a U-shaped demarcation featured on its official maps that extends deep into the disputed waters, encroaching upon the exclusive economic zones of other Southeast Asian nations. According to Beijing's interpretation, its claim to the South China Sea can be traced back centuries, embodied by the 9-dash line that supposedly reflects the Chinese dynasty's control over the region's island chains and maritime trade routes. China insists that historical records document voyages by imperial explorers and officials through these waters as early as the 2nd century during the Han Dynasty, with subsequent dynasties like the Song and Ming exercising sovereignty over territories like the Spratly Islands, Nansha, and the Parcel Islands, Xisha. However, this historical narrative is contested by other nations who argue that China's control over the region was never absolute or unchallenged. The arrival of the Western colonial powers in the 16th century, such as the Portuguese, British, Dutch, and French, marked the beginning of a new era of maritime exploration and territorial claims in Southeast Asia, challenging China's supposed dominance. The 9-dash line itself first appeared on Chinese maps in 1947, during the final years of the nationalist government's rule. At that time, the 11-dash line encompassed not only the South China Sea, but also the Gulf of Tonkin, reflecting the nationalist expansive claims. However, after the Communist Party's victory in the Civil War, the new regime in Beijing revised the map, dropping the 2 dashes in the Gulf of Tonkin due to its ideological alignment with Communist North Vietnam. In recent decades, China's claim over the South China Sea have taken on a more assertive and confrontational tone, driven by a combination of factors. First and foremost, the region's strategic importance as a vital trade route and its potential for lucrative oil and gas reserves have fueled Beijing's desire to maintain control. According to estimates, the South China Sea may hold up to 11 billion barrels of untapped oil and 190 trillion cubic feet of natural gas, making it a huge prize for an energy-hungry nation like China. Additionally, Beijing's expansionist ambitions are intertwined with its pursuit of regional dominance and its desire to project power and influence throughout the Indo-Pacific region. By establishing a formidable military presence in the South China Sea, China aims to solidify its control over a strategic waterway, secure vital maritime trade routes, and deter potential challengers, including the United States and its allies. Despite an international arbitration ruling in 2016 that rejected the legal basis of the 9-dash line, China has defiantly ignored the decision and continued its aggressive tactics in the region. This includes the construction of artificial islands and the deployment of Coast Guard vessels, maritime militia, and fishing fleets to assert its claims, often leading to confrontations with neighboring countries like the Philippines, Vietnam, and Malaysia. Beijing's unwavering adherence to the Nine-Dash Line and its refusal to compromise on its territorial claims have raised concerns among regional powers and the international community. The risk of miscalculation or escalation in the South China Sea remains high, with the potential for a localized conflict to spiral into a broader regional or even global confrontation, particularly if the United States becomes directly involved due to its defense treaties with allies like the Philippines. As tensions continue to simmer, the international community faces the challenge of finding a peaceful resolution to the South China Sea disputes while preserving freedom of navigation, upholding international law, and preventing the region from becoming a flashpoint for a potentially catastrophic conflict between global powers. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to this channel for more amazing videos.